They're smiling, and there wasn't a sound in the room. And finally, he said, now we're talking about the psychology of closing. The psychology of closing is very, very important for us to understand. Closing is the most painful part of the sales presentation. Closing is the part that we as salespeople hate the most. We become the most tense about it, the most reluctant, and it is also the part that the customer hates. As it gets closer and closer to the close, the person gets tenser and tenser, and our job as salespeople is to structure the sales presentation in such a way that we go to the close and we go smoothly through the close. It's almost like there's a bump at the end of the road, and we have the approach, and we have the presentation, and we have the part where we arouse desire, and then we have this bump where we have to get into action. And our job is to get the person over that bump as smoothly as possible, to make it as painless as possible. I think the best example of what I mean is the story of the old fellow calls up his dentist. And he says, Bill, he said, I got this rotten tooth and it's got to come out, and I just wonder how much you charge me to pull a tooth. And he said, Jack, he's known him for years and years. He says, well, Jack, he says, charge $35 to pull a tooth. He said, well, geez, he says, Bill, that's a lot of money. How long does it take? He said, well, it takes about a minute. He said, $35 for 1 minute? He said, isn't that ridiculous? He said, that's absurd. He said, well, Jack, he said, if it's the time that's bothering you, he said, I can take as long as you like. You see, we have an obligation to our clients to go smoothly through the close so that it's as painless as possible, because whenever we reach the point where we're making a buying decision, we start to feel tense, we start to feel nervous, our solar plexus starts to tighten up, sometimes our heart rate goes up and our throat goes dry, and especially if it's a big decision, we become very, very uneasy, because often these decisions are irrevocable. We have this great fear of failure, and our job is to sweep the person through the close as rapidly as possible once their buying desire has been aroused, and get them past the close and into wrapping up the details of the purchase. So our job is to plan the close in advance. And it's very interesting. Some people say that what you should do is you should plan your close in detail and then build your sales presentation on top of it, instead of planning the sales presentation and putting the close on top of that. Plan exactly how you're going to close. And wherever you're in a sales presentation and it's obvious that the person's interest and desire has been aroused enough, then you swing into the close.